All right, you ready?
So cute.
Yep. And Jenny, and 1, and 2, and go. So,
Okay, so here I am with Pauly Everett, the artist, at his studio with Petey the dog,
woof woof.
and we're going to be viewing the Collab Nite video. And
It's fantastic.
And welcome to the Creative Alliance show, and your host Connie White.
Okay, there we go. See?
Right.
But let's get to our first person, Gary Flynn.
You think his fans are gonna like you talking shit about him?
Where's your Capone, Gary?
No.
What's up, lumberjack?
Is it an Alaskan?
It's Canadian or some shit.
Yeah, I think it's Canadian. No, just his coat.
I always say what up when I see him at Art Walk. Usually.
They have-
Just
they
give him
have
a third
better-
handshake.
Get better Indians.
How's the words going?
That will offend anybody.
Are you familiar with what he's reading right now?
It's about an reservation.
And Flint?
In fact, he shows a picture of it.
It's a good song.
A map of where it's at.
I'll be reading, in fact I'll do some summarizing, of the first chapter of my next book, the one about Jacob Smith's founding of Flint. And did he have ulterior motives? Well, we'll find out. This chapter is called Flint, an Indian reservation. And again, I'll do some summarizing as I go along. The 1819 Saginaw Cession and Treaty ceded a large swath of central Michigan to the United States of America. The land was originally occupied by members of the Chippewa, Ottawa, Potawatomi, and Wyandot nations. As a provision of this treaty, 11 tracts of land along the Flint River, where present-day Flint is, were reserved for, I won't pronounce their names, so I'll just skip that. But they each got 640 acres of land located at or near the Grand Traverse of the Flint River in such matter as the President of the United States may direct. One man who had a major role in the treaty was the founder of Flint, Jacob Smith, who was a native of Quebec. He was the first white settler to set up shop in the area. He lived alone in Flint while his wife Mary and his children lived in Detroit. Sources dispute Mary's ethnic heritage. Some say she was of Scottish ancestry, others say she was a Chippewa. Jacob built his cabin along the Flint River around 1811. Flint was connected to Detroit by the Saginaw Trail, from which Saginaw Street, Dixie Highway, and Woodward Avenue developed. He was adopted by the Chippewa Nation and given the name Wabisons, meaning young swan. He established a fur trading business in present-day Flint with the natives. After his wife died, he moved permanently to his Flint River cabin in 1819. He died in 1825 and was buried by Baptiste Cochillos, a friendly mixed-blood trader, and Jack, an Indian boy whom Jacob adopted, beside his cabin near where First Avenue and Lyon Street is today. He was later reburied at Glenwood Cemetery. After the death of Smith's friend Chief Naomi in 1827, several members of his band dispersed to other parts of Genesee County. Looking at the map of the 11 tracts of land along the Flint River, there is more to it. 5 of the 6 lots north of the Flint River were actually assigned to Jacob Smith's children using their Indian names. Some say that, I'll skip that, who was given lot number 8, was a Chippewa mixed-blood daughter of Smith. For nearly 40 years, there was litigation over ownership of much of the Smith property, which retarded development north of the Flint River. The native population was decimated by outbreaks of cholera in 1834 and smallpox in 1837, diseases introduced by the white man. In 1836, the federal government established a land office for the sale of public land in the Flint River settlement, which was incorporated in 1855 as the city of Flint. For this article, I will concentrate on 2 of the 11 tracts in the Flint River Reservation. They are lot number 2, which is north of the Flint River, and lot number 7, which is south of the Flint River. Both of these lots include the immediate downtown Flint area. Lot number 7 was assigned to Francois Edouard Campo. He was a mixed-blood employee of Jacob Smith. He sold his land in 1830 to the first permanent white settler who brought his family over, John Todd, for $800. It was true that Mr. Campo did not have plans to permanently settle on his land and had planned on selling the land if the price was right. John Todd and his wife Pauly established a tavern where downtown Flint is today. Flint's first wedding took place in 1831 at Todd's Tavern. Lot number 2 was assigned to Albert J. Smith, who was born in Detroit in 1811 and Jacob Smith's only son. The patent for this lot was assigned by President Andrew Jackson on July 2nd, 1836, reserving this lot to Albert Smith, who was still living in Detroit at that time. He sold a quarter of lot 2 to his brother-in-law, Thomas B.W. Stockton, on October 10th, 1836, for $25,000. The remaining 3/4 of the lot was sold to another brother-in-law, Chauncey S. Payne. Stockton and Payne jointly put out a $5,000 mortgage at the Farmers and Mechanics Bank of Michigan in 1838. That bank assigned the mortgage to Asa T. Crosby in 1947, which was reassigned by Crosby to Levi Brown of Brooklyn, New York, for $4,000. Brown assigned the mortgage to Henry A. Brown in trust, also of Brooklyn, in 1851. The mortgage was released back to Payne and Stockton in 1853 as paid in full. In 1837, Payne platted the village of Grand Traverse, later known as Flint, in Lot 2, and a map was drawn. The map was stated that all regular lots represented on this map are intended to be 66 feet by 132 feet. Saginaw Street is 99 feet wide. Detroit Street, now MLK, is 80 feet wide. All other streets, 60 feet wide. In 1840, Stockton and his wife, Maria G. Smith Stockton, sold their land in 1842 Payne, described as follows. I'll just skip the gobbledygook. On September 24th, 1819, and other land, accepting and reserving within said boundaries, such lots or parcel of land has been sold and deeded jointly to Thomas V.W. Stockton and Chauncey S. Payne, or sold prior to this date. A quitclaim deed was issued in 1845 for consideration of $100 in divers from, William Smith to Chauncey S. Payne for Section 2 and of the 11 sectors. When Jacob Smith died in 1825 at age 45, his tombstone gave the wrong birth year, his legal affairs were incomplete. The other 4 lots reserved for his children were number 6, intended for Harriet M. Smith, number 5 for Maria Smith Stockton, number 4 for Caroline Smith, number 3 for Louisa Smith Payne. The 5 patents for lots 2 and 6 were issued on June 2nd, 1836. Around that time, the aforementioned Jack, who helped to bury Jacob Smith, was claimed to have had ownership of lot number 2. In March 1841, Jack deeded his tract to Gardner D. Williams of Saginaw, who, in June 1845, conveyed a portion of the lot to Daniel D. Dewey of Genesee. They filed a lawsuit which would determine who was the real, I'll mention it, Mediterranean, I hope, and who was legally entitled to the lands. The case with Gardner L. Williams, Daniel D. Dewey, and Mediterranean and plaintiffs, and Chauncey S. Payne as defendant, was tried in Genesee County Circuit Court in March 1856. The jury in the trial decided that Chauncey S. Payne is not guilty of unlawfully withholding from said plaintiffs the premises described in manner and form as the said plaintiffs hath in the declaration of cause alleged. I believe Jack is William Smith, identified in the above quitclaim deed from 1845. So the real Mediterranean was Albert Smith, according to the jury. Albert Smith died in New York City in 1883. Chauncey Payne died in Flint in 1877. Louisa Payne died in 1888. Thomas B.W. Stockton died in 1890. Maria Stockton died in 1898. They were buried with Jacob Smith at Glenwood Cemetery. So while Smith's reservations were supposed to be reserved for the native peoples, the crossbreeding of white settlers, property sales to settlers, as well as Jacob Smith's family, whether or not they had Indian blood in them, receiving lots prevented the reservation from becoming a true Indian reservation. Jacob Smith saw potential in the land along the Flint River when he negotiated for that land in the 1819 Saginaw Treaty. While the native peoples were generally friendly toward the settlers, there were some Indians who were hostile to the white man. One was an old Canadian chief, Kisconwall. During a break in the treaty negotiations, Smith and his allies were able to get Chief Kisconwall dead drunk before treaty negotiations resumed. That was one way Jacob Smith was able to get what he wanted in the treaty. Even though the Flint Reservation did not become a true reservation, such as the Chippewa Reservation near Mount Pleasant where the Soaring Eagle Casino is, I'm wondering if the fact that Flint did develop from an Indian reservation will allow for an Indian run casino in any of the 11 lots drawn in the 1819 treaty. Article 4 of that treaty reads, in consideration of the cession aforesaid, the United States agreed to pay to the Chippewa Nation of Indians annually, forever, the sum of $1,000 in silver, and do hereby agree that the annuities due by any former treaty to the said tribe shall be hereafter paid in silver. Knowing that the government has a history of not fulfilling its obligations from the various treaties with the Indians over the years, I asked Anita Hurd, coordinator of the, I can't pronounce it, but that research center at the Zebouin Center of Anishinaabe Cultures and Lifeways at the Saginaw Chippewa Reservation of Mount Pleasant, if the government is still making annual payments in silver. Her answer was that the government is not making any payments to anyone from any treaty with the Chippewa Nation. So the Chippewa Nation may have a case if they want to repossess Flint. Come to think of it, considering how the city of Flint is right now, I don't think the Chippewa people would want Flint back. If they read the instructions of my abstract, dated March 25th, 1939, for my home which is in Lot 10 of the original reservations, they would be shocked by paragraph 2, which reads, the said premises shall not be sold, conveyed, leased to, or in any way occupied by any person or persons not wholly of the white or Caucasian race. That restriction was rendered unenforceable by anti-discrimination laws in the 1960s, including the Fair Housing Act of 1968. Well, that's the chapter that will start off in more detail in my next book. And I thank you very much.
Great. November. Well, so far we did watch Gary Flint already, his
Yes.
bit, and now we're watching Connor Coyne. Oh, and by the way,
Yes.
both of those people are going to be at the December 16th Creative Alliance Holiday Book Show at the Totem Bookstore on December 16th, and also Kevin Kelly is going to come and sing Christmas songs. I
He's
saw
a-
last year's video of his Christmas card.
He's a super cool fella.
You've got to be feeling Christmassy. Anyway, he's going to be there, and Connor Coyne's going to be there, and Gary's going to be there,
Totally.
and I'm going to be there, and Paul Conus, and Glenn Birdsall, and Chris Ringler, and Lac Luster, and we're going to have a book show on the 16th.
We should put art in there or something.
Hmm.
What time does it start?
It's from 5 to 9 on the
That's like
16th.
right down the street from
Yeah,
here.
if nothing else, you have some paintings like sitting behind our tables or something.
Easels.
Because I'll be videotaping it, I'm
Talk
sure.
about that later. But
There'll
who
be a
else is in
stage.
this? But still making music and singing.
And he's
like,
hosting.
he
He's
even
hosting.
rocks like when it's cold out and snowy, he's still on Art Walk like all over the place. So if he can do that, then
Yeah, right.
I don't know where the rest of these folks
Have you ever-
are hiding out.
Now we have Connor. If we could get Connor to come up. Hi, Connor.
Hi there. I've never read this before. I'm not sure how it's going to go. This is from Atlas, which is my short story collection. I also have 2 novels, Shattering Glass and Hungry Rats. And but this piece was originally published in the Moomers Journal of Moomers Studies in December 2013. And it just seems kind of timely now. I pitched it to them as the shortest novel that they would ever read. And I'm going to attempt to read it all to you in the next 10 odd minutes. And just like, the last thing, a little disclaimer, all the things that the various characters say here, I don't necessarily believe. This isn't, everybody probably takes that for granted, but, just cover your bases. So this is titled Obituary. Chapter 2017. Zagma Olin didn't give 2 fucks what his friends or family thought about his project. Owing no doubt to that time when his wealth excused a crime, not through the subtle effects of needy magistrates or weak judges, but simply through the naked exercise of filthy, filthy lucre. He had murdered a man in a bar, and in the crudest of ways smashed a bottle over the man's head, then a chair, then strangled him bare-knuckled, then garroted him with balloon ribbons just for good measure. But Zegma was a billionaire, and now, decades later, he was building a prison. The prison was a giant hollow sphere 1,000 feet across. Zegma was to be suspended in the center of this thing, which would be cast into orbit around the Earth at some hundreds of miles up, and inside, at the center of the space, it would be dark, milquetoast warm, perfectly silent. Zegma wouldn't have anything to grab onto, no matter how he flailed. He would be in orbit, moving around and around. Skeptical observers thought Zegma was reading too much Kafka too literally, but they didn't understand. See, he was the one who would escape painful sensation. He was the one who would escape the pain of being on Earth. Everyone else was the prisoner. The inside of his sphere was freedom. Everything on the outside was misery and entrapment, and of course, it didn't go according to plan. The sphere fell into the ocean instead of being shot into space. It fell down 2+ miles, but Zegma, in the silence and darkness inside his cell, reified his patience. As far as he was concerned, he was entering the land of diminishing pressure, and so he dreamed up in ersatz orbit up in the Atlantic currents, and discovered his cherished ennui down in the depths.
This dude.
Brian Pobosic? I think that's how you say it. Pobosic.
Is he Polish?
Well, I don't know what his ancestry is.
Is it?
Anyway, he's got some great songs.
It's 4 in the morning, the end of December. I'm writing it now just to see if you're better. New York is cold, but I like where I'm living. There's music on Clinton Street all through the evening. And I hear that you're building your house in the desert. I hear you're living for nothing now. Hope you're keeping some kind of record. Yes, and Jane came by with the lock of your hair. She said that you gave it to her the night that you planned to go clear. Did you ever go clear? Oh, the last time we saw you, you looked so much older. The famous blue raincoat was tore at the shoulder. You went to the station, tried every train. When you came back with no Lily Mullane, then you treated my woman with the flake of your life. And when she came back home, she was nobody's wife. And I see you there with the rose in your teeth. One more thin gypsy thief. I missed a line or two, but that's okay. Oh, what can I tell you? What can I say? What can I possibly say? I guess I forgive you. I guess that I miss you. I'm glad you stayed in my way. And if you ever come back for Jane or for me, your enemies sleeping, and his woman is free. And thanks for the trouble you took from her eyes. I know you thought it was there for good, so I never tried. And Jane came by with the lock of your hair. She said that you gave it to her that night that you planned to go clear. Sincerely, El Cone. All right.
What do you want to know, Jenny?
What is your next?
This is
Tell me. Tell
You
me.
guys are all so sweet.
Yeah.
What is your next gig with your band? I know you guys playing regularly at the Golden Lake, by the way. I think
No,
I
we don't.
I
we
see,
just go there a lot.
Yeah, and I know I see Kent playing up there a lot.
Kent is there a lot. He's always
Yeah, on
playing
Wednesday
there.
nights.
Kent, this is regular, one of his regular spots.
Great.
We play at Totem on the 13th of January.
The
Friday the
13th of January. Wow.
Creepy.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. Is that your next gig? Or is there
No,
anything
our
after
next
that?
one's in December, this month, at Clarkston on the 10th.
Clarkston.
Okay.
Christmas
Clarkston.
party.
Oh, Christmas. Oh, it's a private
Like-
party then.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Who's tell me about it later then. I'm
Getting
interested.
some money for that one. Yeah, come check it out. January 13th, Soir'ee, Totem Books.
Who's all these dudes? Who's all in the band? What kind of music is going on here?
Oh, it's jazz, funk, jam, fun. Got
Instrumental.
myself, instrumental, no singing. Got myself on drums, Kent on guitar, Brandon Perro on bass, Riley on keys, Riley Moore. Jacob plays trumpet with
And
us.
he's
okay?
Riley's a Kettering student, right? Or
Yep,
was?
he's an engineer.
Still is?
He's an engineer at the keyboard, yes,
Jacob was playing trumpet yesterday at Buckham.
indeed.
What is that thing that he puts over? What is that called?
A silencer, mute, something.
Whatever he's doing, he's got going.
Silencer? I don't think that's right.
Probably not.
That's like a gun.
Yeah, you're thinking of the right.
Yeah.
Word.
I just hit things with my
Oh yeah, you got like a link, like people can find you online or whatever.
Yeah, go to Facebook, look up Soir'ee. That's Soiree. Soir'ee.
With like a apostrophe thing somewhere. some
Yeah,
weird
it's
punctuation.
French for party. Basically.
Word 'em up.
Basically.
Great. Can we put a phone number or anything down there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, your personal phone number.
Well, I mean, like, to get
Hit up
gigs
the
for the
band.
band. Oh, the
If
band
you're
page is
interested in
really
the
what it
date.
needs to do. That's right.
Or my name. Don't say my name.
Does
Yeah.
Andrew, Tyler.
It's alright, I'll call you Petey Jr.
There you go.
Word.
Bye bye.
Alright.
Off I go.
Okay. Okay, December 21st, for the Collab Nite, from 7 till 10 at the Good Beans Cafe. James Bloom is going to be the host. Hope you can make it. It should be a lot of fun. Remember, just off my leg now.